right, ladies and gentlemen, I had to come out to H-Town, man. We're live at the Dope House. Dope artist, dope producer, dope engineer, jack of all trades, as I like to call him. Man, who do we got on the camera?
It's Mark Drew. What it do?
See, I've been thinking about the end game. Got nice to work the beats while I was sharpening my pen game. This shit is insane. I lost a lot of friends and they would tell me that I've been changed. My marathon is moving, gotta get that through your membrane. Look, I'm just in a different state of mind. I ain't with it if it's cutting into my creative time. Trying to put myself in a position where I get paid to rhyme. Boy, I get that shit that you do not wanna be late to find. Hold up, this shit come with a price. They gon' wanna sabotage me, I won't crumble them nice. I be gunning for that TD.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain, man. Living life.
All right, so before we get into music, man, let's tell people a little bit about yourself.
I'm just someone who has loved to create since they were a child and has followed creativity into adulthood.
Now, what kind of family background did you come from?
I come from a hardworking family. I know some people have parents who introduced them to music. Outside of the radio, my parents didn't really do that. I went and found it for myself, and they've always been really encouraging of just like anything I was into, they encouraged me to follow it, and were my support system.
Now, how long have you been involved in music?
So I've been doing it, this year will be 10 years since I've been doing it, I guess, professionally. I would say I got good in like 2016, but yeah, I was doing it back in 2012 as well.
All right, now, what came first, the rapping or producing?
Definitely the rapping, producing. I always wanted to produce, I just didn't have a way to do it. I didn't get the internet till I was like 14, 15 years old, so, so a drum machine was out the question at that point. So yeah, I always wanted to produce, but rapping definitely came first.
Now, when you were coming up, who were some of the rappers that you looked up to?
Yeah, definitely Jay-Z, definitely Biggie, a lot of artists from the West Coast as well. In Houston, I would say Chameleon was always my favorite rapper. I thought he was the hardest one. But yeah, a little bit of all over.
I gotta ask you, your favorite Jay-Z album?
Blueprint for sure.
Because most people, they're going to say Reasonable Doubt, they're going to say The Black, or they're going to say Blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
It's always.
Yep, them three.
And what about Biggie's favorite album?
Life After Death is probably my favorite.
Let's say the classic, 10 Crack Commandments, Niggas Bleed.
And he has like the smoothest flow like of all time. I would say him and Pimp C have the best flows ever.
The crazy thing about Biggie was everything that he was rapping about, you could picture it.
Yeah,
Close your eyes.
Exactly.
And you see
great storyteller, yeah.
Coming up, did you study someone like, Kanye or Pharrell?
Yeah, Kanye is probably my biggest musical influence, and as far as producers go, like him, Pharrell, and Timbaland were like, that's all day for me. Like that's what molded me as a producer and as a creative, and I kind of got the influence from them, got the influence from my favorite rappers, and trying to put them together.
Now, your music is not the traditional Houston, as they like to call it, the Houston sound, as far as the cars and everything like that, the syrup. Was that something intentional you did?
Yeah, I mean, just because like my musical influence came from all over, so like it wasn't just Houston molding me. I love Houston. I love like the music that's come from here. Like I still jam it all the time, but like I took influences from all over. So like when it came to telling my story, I did it in a way that spoke to me, and that's kind of how we approach things.
Do you think artists like Travis Scott, or Maxo, or even Sauce Walka, they changed the perception of what Houston music sounds like?
I still think Houston has its sound to its core. I don't see that going away, at least in the near future. But I do think they bring something new to the table, something fresh, and I think that's something that the fans here really get excited about.
Do you think that the older generation of fans are having a hard time adapt to the new guys?
Yeah, man. I mean, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, man. It's like for some people, for who are older, even with talking basketball, like no one will ever be better than Jordan just because that's what they experienced and that's what they love and that's what they grew up to. And then my generation, no one will be better than either Kobe or LeBron because it's just nostalgia. It makes it hard to adapt.
Now, how did you even end up at Dope House?
So yeah, I never thought would be here, because it's funny enough, me and Los talk about it, a bit. I never listened to SPM, so like the fact that I'm here is kind of a little crazy for me. But essentially, what happened was I was renting out a room at Sugar Hill Studios, the oldest studio in the United States, second oldest in the world, and it's right here in Houston. And I was renting a room there, and Dope House was renting a room as well. And the lead engineer, Payne, I just chop it up with him, like getting coffee in the morning. And then one day he came to knock on my door to let me know he needed something, and he heard a beat, and he was like, "Dog, Los needs to hear this." So then me and my boy Lau talked with Los. Me and Lau were a production team. We ran a business together. And Los needed a beat made. We made a beat. It ended up being The Devil's Mansion, the title track. And he told me, "Man, I've been trying to get this beat done for 5 years, and you guys knocked out the first try. Like, I'm going to give you more stuff." So it went from, producing a lot more for him. Payne needed help with the engineering, so I went, as a producer to engineer. Now I just do whatever needs to be done for Los.
What is it like working with a legendary label like Dope House?
It's a lot of pressure, because the fans are, they tell you what they don't like, and they tell you what they do like, and for me, the pressure to always just keep myself at a high standard, because that's what the fans expect, and it's good for me, I love that, I thrive under pressure, so it's pretty cool, and it's pretty surreal at the same time.
Do you think Dope House gets the proper recognition that it deserves?
No, nah. Because, like, you look at the labels that have been here for so long, how many have disappeared? They're not even here no more. And they were, like, by artists who are perceived as bigger artists, even in the last 10 years, let alone the last 25. So it definitely doesn't get the respect that it deserves, for sure.
Why do you think that, though?
I don't know, man. I think maybe since Los has just been locked up, but it's crazy though, because since he's been locked up, he's still outselling like a lot of people. 20 years now in jail, and he's still outselling everybody. So I don't get it, man. I don't know how to wrap my head around it, but I definitely think it gets overlooked as far as labels.
And a lot of people forget that back, in the 90s, he signed a distribution deal with Universal.
Yeah, crazy.
And that was huge. Like, you know, and they had so many labels under them. And this is, the Mexican guy from Houston, man, and really put a dent in the music industry.
Yeah, for real.
What's some advice that he has given you?
We talk a lot about like how to handle success. Now he knows like him and I are two totally different people. Like we're polar opposites. We come from similar backgrounds as far as neighborhoods, but like I'm from Acres Homes, the Acres Homes area. He's from Hillwood, so like we come from predominantly black neighborhoods, and we're like the only Mexicans that we're kind of existing in that space, and so we have that common ground. But he knows we're different, so like we talk about how some of his struggles and how it kind of just like lets me know what to look for as far as like they say money don't necessarily change you; it'll change the people around you. So he kind of talks to me. Give me a little bit of guidance as far as how to handle some of that stuff.
Do you ever see Dope House making a comeback?
Right now, it's hard to get back to where it was, just simply because the guy's locked up. Because I know the second he gets home, complete 180 as far as our perception. I'm telling you, back-to-back shows to start out with, tour that sells out, like one of the most highest grossing tours that is going to be coming from the South. And that's the second he touches down. So I think when he gets home, all this changes.
Do you think that, I would say, is anybody in the camp, worried about his safety as far as when he comes out?
I always say this, man. You mess with Los, you got a whole race on your ass. So, like, I think if you try to mess with Los, that's a bold move. But, I'm just saying, I guess nobody's untouchable. At the same time, like, you got to know he's the one. He's the Mexican. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see when he comes home.
Now, I want to ask something. I'm from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Zero and TRAE. Obviously, they had an incident that made social media. Yeah. What was your thoughts even seeing that whole situation?
So it just, man, I just hate that it happened. It's like it kind of reminds me of like the Will Smith and Chris Rock. It's like, man, them two people, like I really admire. I hate that it happened with them too. And with Zero and TRAE, like, you know, Zero's just one of the realest dudes you'll find, man. Like, you know, just in life, period, let alone like rap music. And TRAE, like, he's Batman in Houston. Like, you know, when we're in need, like, he's the one, like, consistently stepping up and literally saving lives. So, like, I hate that you know, them two were involved. But, like, if you're from Houston and you're kind of tapped in with the rap scene, or even just as a fan, you knew there was, you know, some beef brewing there. And you kind of, like, knew that, you knew they didn't rock with each other. So when you heard about it, it wasn't, you know, no one was, like, thrown for a loop. Like, everybody kind of, like, understood, like, it was bound to happen at some time. I just didn't expect for it to happen that way, but it was bound to happen at some point.
Was that kind of a shocker to see that it got to that level?
Yeah. Like I said, man, I just wish it was handled differently, but, you know, who am I to, you know, have an opinion on, you know, how they handle their business? You know, that's how they want to handle it. You know, I guess that's how they want to handle it.
Yeah, man. I mean, they dropped probably a classic album, that last
Yeah,
album.
you know.
That they dropped.
And hopefully they can, you know, get together and, you know, even if not, you know, make music together, get to the point where they can exist together. Because, you know, the city loves them both, man. They deserve to get their love and respect.
You know, besides like Paul Wall and Chameleon, I mean, that's kind of like the duo of Houston that people really like looked up to. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
You know, they're a good match.
Yeah,
They're a good match, man. Now I want to get into the project, the EP that you just dropped, Undrafted. Dope album cover, man.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
What was the inspiration behind that project?
So for me, I was making just singles, right? And I was doing singles and putting them out. And I got to the point where, like, you know, because COVID kind of messed up everything as far as, like, you know, if you put music out, you know, you had you couldn't perform, you couldn't do a lot of things that come with, you know, releasing a record. And I missed getting in front of people and connecting with them through like 20 or 30 minutes, like taking them high and taking them low and bringing them back to it. Like, I miss that. I miss looking at people's reaction to certain songs, even if they don't know it. They just listen to it. It's like, man, like that I felt that. I missed that. So I wanted to put a project out so that way I can, when it comes to performing, I have more than one or two songs. And I wanted to make music that, for me at this point in my life, I'm 100% proud of. Because I feel like before, I would make music, like, I thought the records were good, but, like, they were kind of just, like, made for one, you know, scene. Like, I'm made for the club, or made for, you know, trying to make hit singles. And they got to a point, like, I'm just going to make the music I feel like needs to be said, needs to be shared, needs to be embraced. And for me, like, that's what the whole thing was about, just, like, embodying that underdog spirit, you know. 'Cause I feel like an athlete who goes undrafted, they got so much to prove, and it's like, all right, I'm kind of on the team, but, like, you guys, I'm still not, I'm still not the MVP. I feel like I can be the MVP, but I'm not there yet, and that's fine. You don't got to see it, because I see it enough for the both of us.
Now let's talk about the cover.
Yeah.
I always say, man, if you have a dope cover, that's gonna make people want to listen to the project.
Yeah.
What was the concept of even choosing that particular Astros locker room kind of theme?
So, for people who know me, know I am the biggest Astros fan, and October's coming, so playoffs about to start. So music will take a backseat for a month. But the whole inspiration behind it, actually, you remember the picture of Kobe after he won a title, and then he's just staring at his trophy.
Yeah.
And he had the feel of, this is what I worked for. And you kind of can tell, like, just by looking at it, like, I don't want to lose you. I want you again. Of course, I'm not as far as, like, rap goes, I'm not a champion. I'm just starting out. So for me, I wanted to recreate the same feeling as if there was a trophy there. And if you look at the cover, I'm kind of doing this position right here and just looking at, like, I want that. I need that. I'm overlooked, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It just means I got to work harder. And for me, nothing has come easy in this journey. Like, I've had health issues that kind of slow things down. So, like, I'm used to having to fight more than when people normally fight for this. And the whole album cover, that's what it wanted to just convey. It's just, like, the hunger, man. And I'm happy with how it came out. I reached out to my old high school. They let me do it in there. My boy Harley Garrett did an amazing job with the cover, and I'm super pleased with how it came out.
Yeah, man. It was when you sent it to me, and
Yeah.
I checked it out, man. I thought it was dope. And the
Yeah.
thing that stood out to me the most was the cover. It was one of
Yeah.
those things like I got to go listen to this. And I always
Yeah.
tell everybody, presentation is a key.
Yeah.
Presentation is
Yeah.
a key, man. But look, man, Mark, man, I just want to tell you thank you. You know what I mean? I'm glad we got to do this interview. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Coming back to the city, man. Any last words for the camera?
Man, be on the lookout, man. My goal is to just be something that people are proud to support. My name is Mark Drew. I'm an artist and producer. I got more music on the way. I'm gonna be dropping videos very consistently. So like, just if you see it, give me a chance. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just give me a chance. Maybe you do.
All right, well, look, man, this was Views Media Group with Mark Drew.
Yes,
We out.
sir.